dear friends, staring is something that we all experience in our lives. Someone is staring at me, or we are sometimes staring at somebody, is what we encounter in our daily lives. Whether it could be while traveling or anywhere, we see, we look, and we perceive. The perception is the way one person sees me, or the way we see the other. Some look at you in love, lust, suspicion, and hatred. These are the common experiences that we face in our day-to-day lives. The philosopher John Sartre turns our attention to the phenomenon of hatred in human relationships. That is, when I am alone in my room, a person enters and looks at me. Here, the situation changes. I'm no longer alone. I lose my freedom and I'm no longer the subject of the situation, rather, but become an object. This I am being looked at is what alienates me from the others. Therefore, Sartre said, hell is my neighbor. The look of the others makes me feel insecure. There have also been times when we look down upon ourselves. Naaman, the great man and the commander of the army, had leprosy. Leprosy is a skin infection where there is an abnormal appearance. The person is secluded from the community. For us, sometimes even a small pimple on our face makes us feel uneasy. The lepers are ostracized from the society. And when the people see a leper, there's a distance of 6 feet that has to be maintained. The belief of the Old Testament and at the time of Jesus was the leprosy could be only cured by God. That healing is what we see in the first reading and in today's gospel as well. After the healing of Naaman looks at himself, how he has become physically and spiritually cleansed, and then he praises God. The 10 lepers in today's gospel are also at a distance when they approach Jesus. We see the look of Jesus here. When Jesus sees others, it's not just the physical eyes, but he sees their existential condition and their essential identity. He sees their social conditions on how others were perceiving the lepers. The gaze of Jesus is mercy and love. And he sees others as the child of God and not merely as objects. As all the 10 lepers were healed, but only one leper saw that he was healed, which means only one leper saw God's hand in healing. But this is not the end. The twist in today's gospel is that one leper is a Samaritan. The Samaritans are the ones who were looked down on by the Jews and at the time of Jesus. And they were considered outcasts in the community. Why? It is because of their religious background and their ethnic identity. In the Old Testament, there was a split between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The northern kingdom was conquered by Assyria, and some were later deported. The Samaritans of the New Testament were considered by Jews from Judea and Galilee to be the descendants of the foreigners and Israelites left by the Assyrians, mixed in race, and therefore the Jews of that time would look at them as those ritually unclean. But the Samaritans looked themselves as true Israelites who rigorously followed the law set down in the 5 books of Moses, that is the Pentateuch. Nevertheless, Jesus has no boundary in seeing. Therefore, my dear friends, there are 2 questions that we ask to ourselves. What do we see? And what do we do when we see? The first instance is the recognition of the need of the others. Sometimes persons in need simply do not catch our attention. That person could be an employee, a co-worker, or our own neighbor. They may be facing a health problem, struggling with a difficult family situation, or an emotional crisis. They may not share, but some of us indicate some signs, but we pass by and we don't see that. The leper in today's gospel recognized God's hand in healing and delivering. God works in our lives too. We sometimes fail to see the works of God, but today's gospel motivates us that even whatever the little change or growth in our lives we see, we can thank God for that. The second question goes to the heart of today's gospel. What do you do when you see? Jesus saw the need and acted to meet it. When the leper saw the healing in himself, he acted on it by praising God and thanking Jesus. This is what we are also called to do when we see God's saving work in our lives. Therefore, my dear friends, the choice is ours, whether to see or not to see God's work, whether to act or not to act. Therefore, let us pray and make good decisions in our lives.